There we go. Welcome to the Savage Goose Show. I'm Goose, and we're going to talk about Savage Worlds news. We're going to talk about some new products that came through my email over the past month, and we're going to talk about some Kickstarters and just some general updates to the channel. And then we're going to talk about levels of success in Savage Worlds, and is there room for us to make changes in the game or add some levels of success to the game to make things just a little bit more interesting. But first, as always, we are going to talk about the newsletter. Yeah, let's me that. There we go. So first off, in the news from Pinnacle, so do check out the Pinnacle newsletter. There should be a link down below. If there's not, I might need to add it later. But this is the newsletter from Pinnacle, and this is going over all the news from them. First thing is the Great Maze is their next big Kickstarter for Deadlands: The Weird West. If you don't know Deadlands, where have you been? Deadlands is a pretty big deal at this point. It's been around for 30 years. This is the 30-year anniversary this year for Deadlands. And this particular campaign is taking us into a new region of Deadlands. There's a bunch of different regions in the world of Deadlands. There's been a lot of different books. And usually what we see with regional books and regions being released is that there's a region and then there's a plot point campaign that goes with that region, and then maybe some other goodies as well. And this is no different this is when it's no different. This will be happening next week, Tuesday, July 21st. The Great Maze is the next region. It is going to include a whole entire source book just for new locations, savage tales, monsters, cryptids, relics, and all this other kind of stuff from California, where the Great Maze is occurring. Now, the Great Maze, I don't remember why it's the Great Maze. I believe there's maybe some, there's an earthquake there, I believe. So I think there's like a bunch of mazes from the earthquakes making cracks in the world. I believe that's what's happening, but I could be wrong. So please let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong about that. But Curse of the Maze Queen is going to be the full plot point campaign box set where you will be going. So you're aboard a luxurious paddle wheeler maze queen to compete in the most valuable and most cursed gemstone in the Weird West. So that's super exciting. And then also, this is the one that we've been kind of told about before. This is an additional campaign. In addition to the plot point campaign, there's also an additional campaign for veteran heroes. This might be just like more of an adventure, like a long adventure, where they pits the Twilight Legion against the most infamous vampire in history. Dracula has arrived to the Weird West, and the posse can't stop him. The Pacific Coast may drown beneath a crimson tide. So that is the Kickstarter. I'll try to remember to do some of my usual stuff. I'll put it down in the description below. Try to get most of my things done today, but as always, I'm always forgetting stuff. But that is the Kickstarter for that, and that it starts next week. So next Tuesday, July 21st. If you are interested in getting East Texas University and you didn't get the Kickstarter and you don't want the physical books, you can now get the books from Drive-Thru RPG. This is for both the graphic novel for ETU as well as the Fresh Blood campaign, updated version of ETU for Savage Worlds for Adventure Edition. I, for example, have the stuff I have the Degrees of Horror plot point campaign for Deluxe Edition. I ran through it in Suede, but this has been all the updates you need to run it in Suede specifically. So those PDFs are now available on Drive-Thru RPG. Go take a look. There are still, and I don't know why, but there are still tickets to the Deadlands 30th anniversary celebration out in Arizona. This is in just south of Phoenix. There is going to be a whole bunch of different events. And if you go and actually look at the events list, I'm going to open this new page here and share this tab instead. There we go. What I actually like, I don't know if this was true before, but there is a different events. We have the Friday and Saturday is the main event. You can purchase the ticket there, but you can also purchase a dinner meal voucher for the day before. This is for getting different meals at this what's this place called? Rustler's Roost. Don't know anything about it, but it sounds awesome. I would love to go, but I cannot afford it. And that might be a reason why a lot of people haven't signed up yet. But I do hope that they do fill up all those spots and a lot of people can get to go. It should be a great time. Like I said, I would love to go. And they say here, like, the games that they're going to be running are going to go live on July 27th. Like I said, I'd love to go. I'm sure a lot of you would like to go too, but obviously it is quite a cost to be able to go. Is expensive. So But for those who do can go, I hope you enjoy it. I think this will be a really fun time. Let's see here. Moving on down here. As some of you may have known about Aaron Acevedo, he was, I don't know the exact disease he was fighting, but he essentially needed I believe it was a kidney and a heart transplant. And at one point they had him on the transplant list, but I think they basically say that the doctors determined that it wouldn't probably work out for him to get those things. And like his body likely would be rejecting those things. And because of that, he did pass away last Saturday on July 4th. If you don't know Aaron was the art director for Pinnacle. And I'll say this is, despite the 30th anniversary celebrations, this has definitely been a hard year for Pinnacle. They've lost two big team members, not just team members, but also friends, both people who are friends as well as coworkers. When you work for a small company that is as passionate about a certain thing as this company is, it's definitely a hard thing, and it's definitely been a hard year for Pinnacle. So I do pray for comfort for everyone and all these families. I pray that everything would go well. Yeah, as Shadley, I'm going to skip your name. Sorry. Someone who received a double lung transplant 3 months ago. I cannot implore people, please be considered becoming a donor. And you doesn't mean have to do. Obviously, you need your lungs. You can't donate right now, but from most of us, at least here in Pennsylvania, it's quite easy to become an organ donor. Whenever you renew your license or whenever you get your license, you just have to check a little box that says, "Hey, I want to be an organ donor," and they just add it to your license card. So it's not that hard to do. If you can, someday you might be able to save someone's life. Yeah. So consider that. Moving on to some other things. 50% sale on select Pathfinder for Savage Worlds titles on Fantasy Ground and Steam. More and more Fantasy Ground is looking like a good spot to get Savage Worlds stuff. The fact that it does work on Steam, and with the Steam client being able to work on Linux, for those of us who are running Linux like myself, it definitely seems like something that's worth considering. That being said, I don't play online very often or much ever, so this isn't really worth it for myself. But I'll say this right now, I would love to see some more stuff in Arkenforge. I know people from Savage Worlds do use Arkenforge. I said I use it myself when I can get to work. I will say it is not native to Linux, which is a problem I have been having. So if you know how to get running on Linux, I've had it working on Linux before, but the latest updates I've not been able to get it. I think I just need to reinstall it from scratch, and it should be okay. But I still have to take the time to do that. Swag Awards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of me is going, I feel like these are coming a little bit late. I feel like we usually do this in February. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to look back at the previous shows, but I feel like this is a little bit late for the usual Swag Award show. I don't know if it just slipped and someone realized, oh, we didn't do this, and they are doing it. If that's the case, that's okay. I'm glad we're doing it. But I do enjoy looking at the Swag Award show to see just kind of like who's won what's the best free product, all those other kind of other things. I would be here. I will say that in previous years, I felt like there was a lot of just a little bit loosey-goosey. I would love to see like more defined categories, kind of like we see for the Ennies, but specifically for Swag Awards. That'd be kind of cool. But I am just glad that they're doing the show so that we can highlight the swag stuff that is out there. And because there is some amazing Savage Worlds Adventure Guild. And I should clarify, if you don't know what Savage Worlds Adventures Guild is, it is essentially the community content for Savage Worlds. So if you're not an Ace licensee, you're not someone who can, but not an independent publisher, but you do want to make stuff for Savage Worlds and sell it through RPG, you can become a Adventures Guild member. That becomes community content. I think it's like the is it the D&D is also called Adventurers Guild, I think, where you can make a product, you sell it on through Drive Through RPG. Pinnacle gets a cut, so Drive Through RPG gets a cut, and then whatever's left is yours. And they have less restrictions for this than the Ace licensees. I think it's like a lot easier to do, but there are some things that are published through the Swag licensee system that are really good products. Some of the best products I've seen for Savage Worlds have been Adventurers Guild products. I believe Sprawl Runners is an Adventurers Guild product. My favorite like one-shot adventures for fantasy and Savage Worlds, which is City Guard Chronicles, those are through Adventurers Guild. So the things we're going to show off later, the new products area, are from Adventurers Guild, and they are well done products. So highly recommend GM's Guild. That's what's called. Thank you. But yeah, they're well done products, and so you should definitely take a look at all the things that are on Swag, and hopefully you check out this live stream. This is next Monday at 8 p.m., which means I will be able to watch, and look forward to talking about that. Things to come. We have a lot of things we're waiting for. I'm excited for because I have a few of them. Doomguard, I'm waiting for. I did get the book for Doomguard, which is funny because I don't have any of the other necessary evil stuff that you need to use to run it. So, well, a little bit of pie on my face, but it's okay. Deadlands Dark Ages, that is Legend Adventure open for pre-order. So all these things are open for pre-order except for ETU Fresh Blood. I'm looking forward to getting my Dark Ages stuff because we've been waiting for Dark Ages since like 2017. It's been 9 years. We're finally getting it. We do have the PDFs and stuff for it, but I tend to not look at the PDFs until I get the physical books. Because I like my physical books, and I'm not going to run it until I get the physical books anyways. So, yeah. Carrying Crown, same thing, same deal. Dance anniversary celebration. I'm looking forward to getting that because once I get that, I'm going to review. Once I get the box, review the starter set, and I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the core rules of Savage Worlds combined with the Deadlands rules into one book, and how it looks, what things are missing, what things have they condensed down, that kind of stuff. So looking forward to that. All right, back to our slideshow. So that's a newsletter. Let's talk about some new products. Here we go. There we go. Okay. First product. This is not a new product. There is a new product for this, but I do want to mention this because I've seen some stuff come through and I didn't really pay attention to it before. This is the Savage Worlds Fantasy Skirmish. This is, if you don't know, Savage Worlds technically started as a war game. That's how it was. The Great Rare Wars for Deadlands as a war game before Savage Worlds existed, and this game kind of is trying to take Savage Worlds and bring it back to be a war game and to have all these rules. I'm wanting to grab it. I've not grabbed it yet, but as I've been thinking about like, oh man, what does this war game look like? Would I'd be interested in this? I realized like, wait, this already exists. There's already someone who's doing a war game for it. I should probably just go grab this. There are several new things, several new books that have come out recently for this particular setting, not a setting, but like a system, I'll say. And if you look here, I'll pull these up here, get our Savage Skirmish stuff. We've got Fantasy Skirmishes. This is the new product here, Savage Worlds Fantasy Skirmish Mercenaries. So highly recommend that you guys check out that stuff. This is a pay what you want for a new adventure for the Four Horsemen universe. That is through Rules of Negotiation is the name of this. What is the Four Horsemen universe? Well, it's like, I think it's called like the Rules of Engagement is like the name of the actual like books here. Yeah, Rules of Engagement. This is the setting book, core PDF. It is a, aliens and military kind of campaign. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, check that out. This next one, this is from someone that everyone should know. If you don't know them, hey, you should figure it out. You should know this person because they make a lot of stuff. This is Jacob Osajuski's new Adventures of El Cuervo Rojo. I had to do Spanish to the customer recently. I haven't done Spanish since high school, and that's unfortunately further and further away than I remember it being. Like, yeah, too far away. But this is Adventures of El Cuervo Rojo. The red, this is Cuervo is like mask, the red mask. This is a savage setting for swashbuckling, and what's it say? It's say cosmic horror, and everyone's doing cosmic horror, like combining things. When I talk about good products from Swag, This is one of those things. Look at this page count. Not the page counts everything. But look at that page count. It's 22 pages. This is a nice art on the front. We have over 200 pages of content. We have the continent of Esplanada, fencing schools, dynamic rules for mass. This is a full, really great campaign. And Jacob makes so many amazing products. Pull up him real quick because this is a lot of good things. Slew Squad. I have a copy of my physical copy of Slew Squads up here somewhere. We've got Nemesis, again, a lot of Slew Squad stuff. The unofficial steampunk handbook. That's on my list of things I want to get. Earth Prime. We got Single Spy Mom. We've got there's so many things. He's worked on ETU Today Abroad. So this is like really good stuff, and I highly recommend that you check out. I'm gonna be grabbing this. I'm gonna try to wait till he releases a on demand option. Because once he does that, I will then print that just like I have for my copies of Slew Squad, or copy of Slew Squad. So my copy of Slew Squad's over there, and looking forward to get more from him. So highly recommend that you check that out. This as well as products. This is from Ede Sol. This is from Tracy Sizemore. Tracy works on Pinnacle things. Han Cluster was done through Tracy. Sorry, my head just kind of went blank for a second. So this is Han Cluster. This is a retail bundle. This is now available through Drive-Thru RPG. So this is not print on demand stuff. You can now buy the physical books as a bundle, the retail physical books through Drive-Thru RPG from Ede Sol Games, and you'll get the correct print, retail print version, not the print demand version. It'll ship to you. This is only within the US. And the printer that they use is the same printer that Pinnacle uses. All other things that Ede Sol Games is printing, especially the Han Cluster, was basically done to the standard that a Pinnacle product was done. This just was not an official Pinnacle product. This is again from Tracy Sizemore, who did this, who has worked with Pinnacle, who does work with Pinnacle. So it's a high quality level here. I did do an unboxing of this at one point. Feel free to check that out. Han Cluster is some of people's favorite sci-fi setting for Savage Worlds. It is a hopeful sci-fi setting. So you should check out this retail bundle if you want to get physical books. This is one of the ways you can do it now through Drive-Thru RPG. However, I bring that up because one of the new things from Ede Sol Games for Han Cluster is a new adventure called The Lost Waltz. This is only a 14-page adventure. It's not like a whole campaign or anything. You're not going to get a whole big thing, but this is a good little adventure that for you to add into your Han Cluster game that you can get now off of Drive-Thru RPG. So if you like Han Cluster, if you like sci-fi, you want to get into it, check out this game. Hey, look, I think we know this person. Look at this. A Savage Tale by John Doom. John Doom, say hi in the chat. This is one of the things about Savage Worlds is that the community is actually fairly small. And you're going to keep seeing certain names over and over again. Jet Meyer, Carl Kiesler, John Doom, Jacob Osajewski, Tracy Sizemore. There's just certain names that you're going to keep seeing. Christian Serrano, I would put up there as well. People who are in the community who are not just working on Pinnacle products, but they're also working in making other things. Zadmar. So definitely hey, if you join this group, definitely keep in mind. Now, that all being said, let's talk about. Sorry, I first got to talk about some Kickstarters. Oh, that was supposed to be not that. There we go. Yes, there you go. That's for the Han Cluster stuff. Kickstarters. I have heard rumors of some other upcoming Kickstarters, but the only one that I have an actual page for, that we have a release date for and everything, is Dayland's Mysterious Maze, which is coming out again next week. So look forward to that. We are talking about the community, and I want to talk about the community real quick because I am trying to start my own little community with Patreon and Discord. You do not need Patreon to be a member of my Patreon to become a Discord member, but I did want people to at least know about my Patreon. People have been telling me I should get a Patreon for a long time, and I finally got around to doing it. My Patreon is not going to be me giving you guys free stuff. I didn't my biggest fear with starting one of these is people wanting to have people expecting things from me and adding more work to my plate. I'm a busy dad. I've got 3 kids, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and my wife works. I'm a busy person. I've got church stuff going on as well. So I did not want to commit to doing more physical things, but I did want to, offer out for people who did want to help support the channel to do so. This is the page. I'm going to try to post certain things on here. Certain people get different access to different things. If you do join, you do get a special role inside my Discord server, which has also been set up. There's a link down below to that. Please bear with me. I am currently running the server alone, and I don't entirely know what I'm doing. I actually ended up paying someone in Fiverr to help me set this up because I didn't fully understand what I was doing. And I made some changes to what they've done as well because they kind of do like a basic server for like a game streamer, like video games and stuff, or and that's not who I am or what our community is about. So I made some adjustments based on that and what I'm looking for. So please bear in mind, please be patient with the things that I am doing there as I try to tweak the server to serve the community better. And for, this gives you an opportunity for you guys to, talk to me more directly and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, when I say like, I don't entirely know what I'm doing, I gave currently, as people just you're aware, if you join within the first 30 days, one of the roles you will get is the founder role. I might try to change the name up a little bit here and there, but you'll get the founder role. And that just means that you joined within the first 30 days of the Discord server being live. So if you want to get that special little role, go ahead and jump in and get that role and join the server. I am but to kind of give you an example of what I'm saying, like when I don't know what I'm doing, when I first created that founder role, someone pointed out like, hey, that founder role is giving us admin rights. I'm like, oh crap. So I had to go in and like remove that. So hopefully there's nothing that serious left. But if you do see anything like that, let me know. There's a place to kind of make fixes, make different things. But I want it to be a good place for people part of this community specifically, as maybe like a micro part of the Savage Worlds community to come and talk and helping me figure out video ideas and discussions about like how we can make Savage Worlds better and how we can let more people know about it and more people get to play it. Sorry, I realized I did not. There we go. This is the Patreon. There's levels and stuff. I don't want to talk about a whole much more. But yeah, go join the server and that'd be great. All right, let's talk about our main topic. Can we add new levels of success to Savage Worlds? So I was been listening to, I don't remember which podcast it was. Now I think about it. Tracy Sizemore was on that podcast, and there was a discussion about failing forward. And this is a kind of a thing I've been thinking about. Failing forward, and the idea is that you fail and you fail your roll. Like you in Savage Worlds, you roll, you get under a 4, you fail. But instead of you just being stuck, let's say you're trying to pick a lock and you fail your roll. Well, you still pick the lock, but you break your, some sort of consequence that happens. You fail for you. Maybe you get through, but your lock pick breaks. And as I've been thinking about that, and even like kind of like in this moment, I realized that there is a strong connection between failing forward and succeeding at a cost. The difference being kind of what the results of the dice are. Mechanically, tabletop tangents. I don't think it was tabletop tangents. I think it was. Sorry. What was it? I can't figure it out. We're going to take a brief pause while I go and double check this. It was Savage Interlude. That's what it was. It was Savage Interlude, episode 54, which I think is like the oldest Savage Interlude that I was able to get to or something like that. I don't think they're all of them are available for some reason through the RSS feed. Anyways, so failing forward, and like so mechanically in Savage Worlds, we don't have a set idea of success at cost or failing forward. And most people, most GMs, when we run any game that doesn't have a set mechanic for that, they just do a pass fail system. Savage Worlds does have a slightly above system where it's succeed and a raise. So not only do you succeed at something, but you also get this extra benefit. So we get success plus a benefit. And that's like as far as we tend to go. And then we have people who might do fail forward. And then we have to fail forward and succeed at cost. Essentially, kind of really the end result looks the same. It's like, oh, there's a cost. You still keep going, you keep kind of proceeding, but there's some sort of cost at the end. And that what changes is the mechanics of the dice roll that gets you to that point. Failing forward is you failed the roll according to the game system. You failed, but you proceed. And then success at cost is usually like a mechanic in a game where it's like if you roll within a certain range, you succeed, but there's going to be a cost to doing it. I know like one of the things that was talked about was like the Genesis system had like a success at cost. And it's like, oh, you're jumping over a cavern and you jump over, but as you jump over, your blaster comes out of your holster and it falls into the ravine. So you got across, but there's a consequence for that. And then so we have failure for failing forward, and that failure should not stop the momentum of the adventure, as John Doom is putting it here. But instead just create a complication for the game. You still continue through, keep going on, but it's a complication. And then there's this idea of succeeding but at cost, and we don't really have a place for that yet in Savage Worlds. And I wonder if there is a place for it. And I want to start talking in that context then about the wild die. And I'm not saying that everyone should do this or you should do this. I'm just trying to open up the conversation. So let me know people's thoughts here. When you play a character in Savage Worlds who is special, they are a wild card. They are more heroic. They are naturally the protagonist of the story, or more important to the story. And the wild die itself doesn't indicate skill. We have a skill. We always roll a skill die, and we roll the wild die, and whoever comes up higher is what we roll as our result. But when you roll a skill die and you succeed, that's because you succeeded because of your skill. When you roll the wild die, it's more of a sense that you succeeded because of your own luck as a central character of the story. It's luck that's carrying that roll, not your own skill or mastery. You would have gotten that same roll with that D6 if you rolled a D4 or a D12. It all depends on, is that the reason you succeeded or not? Versus failure. So if you roll a 1 on the D4 or a 1 on D12, and your skill mastery doesn't change, but you succeeded because of your luck of the game. And so I'm wondering if there's a place in the game where you could do some sort of success at a cost, or maybe even like succeed with luck. Like, did you succeed with skill or did you succeed with luck? This kind of reminds me a little bit as I say it. It might sounds like Daggerheart succeed with hope or succeed with fear, but Savage Worlds succeeded with skill or succeed with luck. And so if you roll and you succeed with your wild die, I'm wondering if there's a place where we could make it a game where, or make it some sort of rule where, if you succeed through wild die, you succeed as you should. But there's going to be some sort of other complication, some other story element that changes because of your luck. Or maybe the way that you succeed changes because of your luck. And maybe some other kind of mechanical advantages. The reason I first came up with this thought pattern was, if you saw my post on the Creator Studio, I am thinking about bennies and how we can remove, maybe we can remove some element of GM fiat or from how more bennies get distributed. And at one point I had this thought of like, oh, hey, Daggerheart has this thing called like, you succeed with hope and you get the meta currency for the hope meta currency. However, the meta currency for hope, I believe, is a lot weaker than a Benny is. Bennies are really strong, and we don't necessarily want to give them out as often as hope is given out in Daggerheart. But my original thought at one point was, oh, maybe if you succeed with luck, that's when you get a Benny. But that sounds too powerful. So I said no. But I do think there's some room here for this idea of succeeding with skill versus succeeding with luck. And I think it might be that succeed with complication. Now, as we talk about succeed with complications, it is guaranteed that yes, you still succeed. There's no debate. You succeeded. The GM just adds a little bit of a wrinkle. You could add that same wrinkle as failing forward. You succeed in unlocking the door, but your lockpick breaks. That's the complication. Your lockpick breaks. You're not gonna be able to use it anymore. Maybe if you're shooting a gun, you fire, but then your gun jams. It's gonna take an action to fix it and unjam it before you can really fire again. You still succeeded, but you also have a complication as well. And this is just like soft mechanical adjustments. We're not trying to make things like too crazy terrible. But I do wonder if this would be something that would be a thing that we could do, right? And as we kind of talk about success complications, one of the things that I'm going to kind of move away from this conversation about, hey, could we use the luck die, and kind of move into, hey, general advice when it comes to succeeding at a complication, how we narrate that. A lot of times when you look at different videos, sometimes we see that we have like yes and yes but, like yeah, yes and yes but, no and no but, right? That's like the different levels of success. And the thing is, like, the yes ands and the yes buts don't need to be separate. Yes and is supposed to be like, hey, yes and a good thing, right? A yes, an additional good thing that happens. And the no, yes, but, it's like a yes, however, it's this problem. The problem, though, is that buts are always seen as punishments. One of the things that, as we're doing like a PCIT with my child, it's a parent-child interaction therapy, trying to help us have a better relationship with our children, is kind of to avoid using the word but. So if we say, hey, you did a great job cleaning the dishes, but that's not good. And that's true actually for how we describe our games in our games in at the table as well. Instead of saying yes, but your lockpick breaks, saying yes, you succeed, and as you succeed, the lockpick breaks. There is a psychological thing that happens where that latter one, using the and instead of the but, feels less offensive. The complication becomes part of the story, not a punishment to the character necessarily. Obviously, they are the same result, but there is something about the actual mental, the psychological feeling of it that is important. I had a discussion with one of my players about, I said, hey, what is the I don't remember how I worded this, but I think I said like, hey, what is the as you enter the building, what does the bartender look like? I think what I said was like, describe the bartender to me. And he did not like that wording. But when I asked, I said, okay, what if I bought the wording like, what does the bartender look like? That kept him going. That was okay. I am essentially asking him to do two different things. But the problem is when I said, describe the bartender to me, I was giving him a command to do something kind of out of character, not with it broke his immersion for me to do that. But I said, what does the character, what does he look like? For him, that switched things around so that it made him feel like he was describing the bartender through the lens of his character. So what I'm trying to get at though is that framing things like complications, we still want to be using this like yes and, not the buts, because the buts are buts, and we don't like buts. We want to we don't want to feel like a punishment. Let's say like a yes and, even though it's not necessarily a good thing. So language matters. On the idea of failing forward, it is helpful when we have this idea of failing forward that we oh, so Jonathan says this as well. But means everything before this word was a lie. So, which is why we don't don't use it. Like, yes, you succeeded, but your lockpick breaks. That feels like it means that actually the first part was you didn't actually succeed, right? So we'll use and. You succeeded, and this other thing also happened. So on the topic of failing forward, though, so succeed the cost is when someone succeeds, but there's like we want to add a little bit of a wrinkle. Failing forward is something we should really be aware of ahead of time before someone even rolls. GM should be using these failing forward mechanic, especially when they are saying like you are going to get through. This is not the role I'm asking you for is not for to determine whether you get through, is about how well you are going to get through. Are you going to have a problem? So if someone is really good at lockpicking, we don't necessarily need them to roll for it, right? We don't want to stall the game. So we can say, hey, you still call for the roll though, and say, hey, you are going to succeed at this. I don't want you this game to stall because of this. You are going to succeed at this. Your character is good enough at the skill that they should just succeed. But I am going to call for the roll so that we know how well you do, and if there's a problem that comes up while you succeed at doing this. So knowing ahead of time that you're going to say this user succeeds is important and helps a lot for failing forward. Yeah. So the question then coming back to the main question is this something that we can do in Savage Worlds? The failing forward, absolutely. That's a really easy thing that you can really apply to any game. The question is ahead of time is the game going to, if we, if this a failus roll, can the story continue? And if the answer is no, then we need to fail forward. We need to say, yes, you are going to succeed, but there's going to be a complication, right? That's one of the ways you can look at it kind of actively after the fact. To say, okay, well, by you failing this roll, this game really kind of stalled. So I'm going to say that you succeed, but there's going to be this complication. The success at a cost really does need and requires some sort of mechanic, I think, to do. Because we can't just say that every failed roll in Savage Worlds is a success at cost. And I think there is room somewhere for adding this succeeding with luck mechanic to kind of add in some other element. You're only succeeding at this because you are lucky and you're part of the story and you're a hero. I will acknowledge that this technically makes wildcards weaker. This is technically a bane to wildcards. This is making things a little bit less good. But I think I really like this idea of the idea of complications. And I think this might add some level of complication that might be really fun to kind of give more improv, add more complication, add something else the characters have to overcome to the game. You could make it some sort of like just, maybe you have to call for another roll as like something else happens. Depending on the situation, right? Maybe someone becomes vulnerable or distracted. Maybe you get some sort of mechanical thing that has to happen because they succeeded with a luck instead. Whatever it is, you gotta make sure you keep it consistent. But I think there's somewhere for that inside of Savage Worlds. All that being, and on top of that, I think that Savage Worlds is a game where it is forgiving enough that we could make this change and it'd still be okay. We it wouldn't like wreck the game. We could add in this success with luck mechanic, and maybe you guys have a better idea how to do success with luck. Maybe there's a different way that we could use that particular, success with skill versus success with luck. I would love to hear it. If you could also have an idea of how we could introduce some sort of success at a cost, that'd be fun to hear as well. If it's not with this like through the luck die, I would love to hear it. All right, I'm gonna go look through some comments here. Arcane says, I tend to use both. Failing forward is part of my GM philosophy, regardless of system and setting I've jammed. Good. I feel like it enhances the story. Yeah. So I think that is something that we just need to, and I need to work on this too. Often when I make these videos, if you didn't know, I'm as a preacher says, and they're preaching to themselves as well. I'm preaching to myself often when I make these videos because the things that I know I should be doing in my game. So failing it forward is one of those things. John Noon says, interesting thought. I wouldn't run it like that, but maybe an extra +2 for consequence success. For consequence success. John, I'd love to hear what you mean by that more. Maybe an extra +2 for consequence success. Yeah, I want to hear what you mean by that. GM Bengal says, I'd only do it if a GM Benny, if it was a GM Benny to trigger the complication on a wild die 1. That is also an interesting idea. I've seen people do for like certain kinds of roles where it's like, I think in the game somewhere there's a situation where like if the wild die succeeds but the skill die is a 1, then there's like a complication of some sort. I think people do it that way too. I was looking for something a little bit more simple, where just like which die did you succeed with? Yeah, dead end failure is not fun for anyone. Players are left directionless. The story usually comes to a stop. There has to be a way to move it, or players just feel frustrated. Yeah. I think another version of failing forward is that failure leads to an alternate path of the story. You might fail at the immediate action, but you have a way to the story itself to continue. John Doom says, what about the Ginny D thing where you offer a deal? Can you you can succeed now, but later I get to replace a roll with a crit fail. Ooh. I actually have a video, the way that I store my video ideas is I use an app called Todoist to do like a what's it called, like a Trello board type style thing where I like move videos and like make comments and stuff. And Ginny D's offer of a deal and this thought about like upward beats and downward beats is something that I am working on trying to like think about. Maybe this does fit with that. I'm not sure if I want to offer a crit fail. Either way, I do think that the mechanic I'm talking about with using the luck die as like if you succeed with the skill die versus skill luck die is likely going to be inherently worse than core rules. So that has to be a setting rule that you kind of set up at the beginning of your campaign, not something you can like just like throw in later. John says, I think luck would only work if you were doing something like letting them roll an unskilled check, but taking away the -2 in exchange for the complication. Maybe, although I feel like unskilled rolls definitely happen a lot, but nothing of that. Using the wild die as a luck die changes the entirety of the system. It just feels different than Satchel's though. Okay, fair enough. I guess I've always personally seen the wild die as like a luck die, so maybe it's a difference of perspective. Whereas like I've always come into the game saying, "Oh, you are." I've always come to the games and explain the game as like, "Oh, you're special. You're a wild card. You get this extra die to show that you are a main character." It kind of represents how like main characters in movies and stuff often just seem more lucky. They get away with it more often. They get away with things more often. Oh, my players hate fatigue. I've used a version where they take a success but get fatigue in exchange. Interesting. Okay. Well, I do think I think there's an idea here. I would love if you're watching this on the replay or if you're in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think down below. Maybe you join the Discord server and we can talk about this there. How do you think we could do? Is there a room in the system to kind of tweak the results based on which you succeeded with? Did you succeed with skill or did you succeed with luck? Again, I guess I'm calling it luck. The wild die a luck die. Again, this is how I've always perceived it, kind of in my own head. I don't know if it's ever used that way. I'm just trying to think about it. Like, does the Savage's book ever call it luck? I mean, because the lucky hindrance, a lucky edge gives you an extra Benny. So there's, in my head, has always been like a tie between being lucky and your, I guess Bennies. Bennies are what's lucky. Not the wild eye. What am I talking about? Let me take a look here. Rules, situation rules, gear. Just been getting started, maybe? No. There's gotta be a page in here about the wild die. Yeah, it does have to be. It does have to be. 87 to 88. Wild cards and extras. Wild cards roll a wild die along with their trait die when making trait rolls. See wild die next page. Cool. We'll do that. Extras roll below. Wild cards roll an extra d6, the highest of the trait, a wild die. The wild die may replace blah blah. Let's actually talk about why we use a wild die. Yeah, it doesn't actually explain like why the wild die. Just like, oh, you're special, so you get this. Nothing like, there's no like fluff about it. Page 103 is the other page. Check that real quick. I do not see anything about the wild die. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'm a little bit off on that. I just think there's something about that somewhere. Maybe it's like succeeding with hero. I mean, if you want to change it from luck, you say like succeed with heroism versus succeeding with skill, right? If you want to make it like more like the wild die thing of your wild card, you succeed with heroism or succeed with something else. I just think there's some sort of mechanic that we could definitely add in where it changes based on which die you succeed with. I'm curious what that would be. So I've also used the idea of skill versus luck with the wild die, but purely in a narrative sense, not necessarily to insert a complication, but just affecting how I or the players describe this. Yeah, no, and I think that's generally how most people definitely describe it. Yeah, for sure. I just feel this. I feel like there's just like a room after seeing how it works. Daggerheart again. Looking at other systems, I like to see how other systems are doing it. I just wonder if there's a place where, because we are rolling 2 different dice, and we are taking the higher of the 2 usually, if we're not doing multi actions. I just wonder if there's some sort of thing there that we could pick at and tie into and like add like a little bit of a layer to the game that might be fun for people. So that's my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Join the Discord server, talk about that there. Join the Patreon if you'd like to support this work. I appreciate if you do. I really appreciate it. And until next week, I do plan on trying to make this a weekly thing. I'm going to do this weekly again. Next week I'll be on. The week after I am on vacation with my family, so I probably won't do it that week. And I do have I'm trying to work on getting several interviews lined up so we can start getting some of those weeks filled in with interviews. So I look forward to being around, and hopefully you'll see more of me. Again, I'm going to try to make more content, and I got 4 videos batch recorded today, so it should mean that I should have some videos coming out within, at least a video coming out within the next 2 weeks. And then I think the cadence I'm looking at right now is like, based on my time, is I can batch record like 4 videos at once, and then I can usually take about 2 weeks per video to get them edited. So hopefully within 2 weeks, you should see a video from me. Thank you all, and until next week, stay savage, everybody.